Hey guys, it's Clovis, and today we're going to talk about the worst equip card, or power-up card actually, as they're called, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels of the Roses. And, you know, it's hard to really come up with a very interesting example because all equips in this game are kind of outright good, and the detrimental ones, such as Paralyzing Potion, obviously are intended to be used on your opponent. So, you know, I can't say, oh, Paralyzing Potion is the worst equip card, right, because it paralyzes your own monster. That's not what you're supposed to use it for. You're supposed to put it on the field or attack the enemy card with it and stun their monster. So, I'm not going to mean about that being the worst card or anything like that. Instead, I want to have more of a conversation about how some power-up cards are just bad relative to other ones. So, to contextualize, most power-ups in the game, if you consider the basic power-ups, you know, consider anything like Book of Secret Arts, Malevolent Nuzzler, all these cards, think about classic Yu-Gi-Oh! And what they do. Some of them are a lot more powerful in the actual card game than they are in this game. The default in this game, an equip card generally gives your monster 500 attack and defense. So this is just the base value, okay? Most cards have this. It wouldn't even matter if this was 300 or if this was 700 too much. The fact is, other equip cards would give less or more. That makes them weaker or stronger relative to others. So, in saying that, the default is 500. Then you get some cards that give 700 attack and defense, like Nails of Bane. Obviously, this card is like just in the game as like some meme, so that Red Eyes Black Dragon can beat Blue Eyes White Dragon. I guess is kind of the point of that card, but it's a crazy powerful equip card, right? Dark Dragons are actually, you know, a roster of quite powerful monsters. Them having an equip card that gives them 200 more attack and defense per power-up relative to other cards. For example, Dragon Treasure means that they just have more support and more damage potential than their rivals, such as Light Dragons that only have access to Bright Castle. Instead, you know, Bright Castle, Dragon Treasure, maybe Horn of Light, but Dark Dragons will have... it's kind of offset by having Dark Energy, which is 300 attack, and we're going to get to those in a second. But truthfully, this kind of makes sense because, you know, Dark cards are very, very powerful, okay? Like, some of the highest attack cards in the game, think about all the Fiends and the Dark Dragons in particular. Some of the highest attack cards in the game, even like Dark Spellcasters. Like, a lot of the highest attack cards in the game are actually Dark. So, it kind of makes sense that for Dark Energy, it only gives 300 attack and defense instead of 500. It just makes sense, right? And also remember, all these cards are 10 deck costs as well. Well, pretty much all of them. There are some exceptions, right? Megamorph, okay, yeah, it only gives 300 points. It's hyper nerfed from Forbidden Memories, and it's a bit more deck cost, 15 deck cost. This really isn't a big deal, but it can make a difference in some situations. And it does also imply that the card has 1.5 times the value in your deck of the power-ups that are 10 deck cost. Another card that has 15 deck cost, that only gives 300 attack and defense, is Invigoration. So already we can conclude that Invigoration is far worse than Megamorph, which already is a pretty interesting card. Like Megamorph, yeah, it's just kind of there. Say if your deck has some weak power-up potential, like you just have, you know, mixed deck. It doesn't make sense to use a mixed deck. I'm talking about maybe if you want to make an Immortal deck, they have no power-up, so you're kind of forced to play 3 Megamorphs in that deck, so you have some power-up potential, you can keep the deck cost relatively low, etc, etc, etc. It's kind of just an option that's there. But Invigoration, it is the de facto option for Earth monsters, right? 15 deck cost, yeah, we can kind of ignore it. I think only if it comes to push and shove will we really actually worry about the deck cost in comparison, but it implies that Invigoration is a higher value than a card like Dark Energy, which is just simply wrong. And also the fact that Invigoration only gives 300 attack and defense. And it's like, why? So, you know, consider Light monsters, which are the most powerful monsters in the game with the exception of the Dark monsters. Light and Dark are just, they just have the rosters of the most powerful monsters in the game by a margin. Earth monsters, like what, the highest attack Earth monster is, what? Like 2100 attack or something stupid. I actually will have a look quickly. Attribute sort. I know you can't see it on the screen, so bear with me. But if I go attribute sort and then attack sort, we can actually see the highest attack Earth card, right? And in fact, well, actually it's Sengenjin, I believe. Perfect Ultimate Great Moth, 3500 attack. So Apart from special summoning conditions or illegal cards, Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, Sengenjin, Great Moth, Javelin Beetle, that's 2 rituals and 2 cards that you have to wait like 5 turns to play. Kinetic Soldier, which is actually not actually a card you can get in the game. The highest attack card, Earth card, that you can actually obtain and just play out of the hand is Gaia the Fierce Knight. Okay, 2300 attack. So compare Gaia the Fierce Knight with 3 of its elemental equips. That is 3 Invigoration, which is 900 more attack, which will give Gaia the Fierce Knight a total of 3200 attack. If you're playing the highest card, the highest attack Earth monster out of your hand with 3 of its elemental equips, you get 3200 attack out of Gaia the Fierce Knight. Now I want you to compare this to Skull Knight, right? Skull Knight, 2650, so you add 900 to that with the 3 Dark Energies. That's another, it's just higher attack, 350 higher attack for the same summoning level. Compare other cards like, what's the highest attack card you can play out of the hand with, that's Light, I guess, 2500, right? Sayayu? So Sayayu, you can use Bright Castle on that card. Sayayu not only is stronger than Gaia the Fierce Knight, but when you add 3 equips to it that are 500 attack and defense, that card now becomes 4000. So the gap between Sayayu and Gaia the Fierce Knight is only 200 attack, but when you add 3 of the intended elemental equips for that attribute type, the difference now is 800 attack. Just every single card of difference. That's just 200 attack and defense that Earth cards don't get every single time you equip them with Invigoration, compared to Bright Castle or Salamandra or any of this. But the unfortunate truth is that Earth monsters are generally weaker than Light and Dark monsters. I mean, even Fire cards have stuff like Meteor Black Dragon, which is pretty crazy. Like, Meteor Black Dragon just needs 1 Salamandra to OTK someone. Whereas Gaia the Fierce Knight, even with, I know it's probably a bad example because of a fusion, but I mean, like, talk about the highest attack Earth card in the game. Yeah, it's 3500 attack as well, the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, but the Invigoration won't make a clear 4000 attack for an OTK or something like that. Not that you're OTKing with this card, but you see my point, right? The Invigoration is just so negligible compared to these other equipped cards, and there's no real reason for it to be that way, because Earth monsters are generally weaker than other types that have these 500 attack and defense monsters. Equipped cards, rather. Sorry, getting confused here. This is what happens when you don't script things. But surely you guys see my point by now. Invigoration, okay, there is no real reason that it should only be 300 attack and defense compared to 500 like pretty much every other equip is. And when you consider cards like Malevolent Nuzlocke that go on Fiend and all female cards in the game, or Kunai with Chain that works on all warriors and all beast warriors, when you compare that to, warriors having their equips split across 2 different types, Kunai with Chain is just this great card, it's just there's no reason to not include 3 of those. It's versatile, any warrior deck can benefit from it, any beast warrior can benefit from it, to a point where you have these options, right? For warriors, you literally have Kunai with Chain and then Legendary Sword before you consider a card like Invigoration. So that's why Invigoration is probably the worst equipped card in the game. It's just less efficient than any other equipped card and it has no right to be. 300 attack and defense is the lowest increase of attack and defense an equipped card can give you, and it only works on Earth monsters, which overall, some of the lowest attack cards in the game when you compare them to other types that have more, just cards you can bring out just the same that are higher attack and defense. I already gave the example with Gaia versus any Dark 7-star card. You got Skull Knight, Zoa, even Dark Magician. So, even though those cards have 300 attack and defense equip, it's kind of justified because they have higher base attack and defense. But, you'd assume that Invigoration should give 500 attack and defense like everything else because there's really nothing special about Earth cards. And that's pretty much all I can say to contextualize why Invigoration is probably the weakest equipped card in the game. Still, it's an equipped card, so it's still powerful, and you would still include 3 of these in an Earth deck. But really, it should just give your cards 500 attack and defense, because there's nothing special about Earth cards, and I'm just kind of repeating myself at this point, so I will stop there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.